Hello, my relationship freedom for women community. How are you all doing? I was about to say, how are, I don't know. Anyway, it is good to be here, and today we're going to talk about toxic advice. And I actually wrote down my notes today because I want to make sure that I cover everything. Excuse me, as usual, my allergies. Y'all know the routine. I wanted to make sure that I covered everything. So I did take some notes, and I'm just gonna get right into it. Okay. Um, so the reason I wanted to talk about toxic advice is because I feel that it's really important for you to get advice, right? Or to have support, be able to have support, and to have at least one person that you could talk to. I remember when my girls were little, I used to always tell them if they going through something, sorry, if they going through something, if they didn't feel comfortable coming, to come and talk to me, because you know how it could be, at a certain age, coming and talking to your mom. And I used to tell them, if you cannot talk to me, find somebody that you can confide in, be it your auntie, be it a cousin, be it your grandmother, whoever. Find somebody, an adult that you could talk to. Thank goodness we had a really good relationship, and they was always able to come and talk to me, but I left the door open to them for them to feel comfortable, to talk to somebody else if they couldn't talk to me. So this is along the same, it's kind of the same thing. When you are going through a toxic relationship, or you're going through a really, bad relationship or whatever, or if you're suffering in silence, or if you're trying to even get past a toxic failed relationship, either way, try to find somebody you can talk to, but try to find somebody that you can talk to from a place of non-judgment. And I remember when I first started going through the toxicity in my marriage, I would talk to people here and there to kind of throw stuff out, to kind of get advice like, okay, let me make sure it's not me. Let me make sure I'm not doing something. Let me just get somebody else's advice. Let me talk to a couple of married people, just kind of see. And one of the things that I started noticing about that, and that's part of the reason why I just began to suffer in silence, is because one of the things that I noticed about that is everybody has an opinion, right? And so the majority of the time they are going to be on your side, right? So when they're on your side, you almost kind of get one-sided advice. Me, I've always been in a space of there's two sides to every story, and then there's the truth. It's two sides to every story, and then there's the truth. Even in my case, yes, I was in a toxic marriage, but I'm sure that the story that he's telling people is something that's completely different than the story that I'm telling, right? So when you are getting advice in your relationship, you have to be so careful. And I noticed that, and I would talk to people, and I don't know, I just felt some kind of way after a while. You know, they would say what I wanted to hear. I didn't feel like it was, I felt like it was one sided advice. And I appreciated that, right? Because they were people, my people that I confided in, right? It's not like it was his people, right? I've never confided in any of my toxic relationships. I never confided in their people because I just felt like that was a no win situation. Um, but the most important thing um, that I learned was you start to desensitize on advice. That's number one. Number two, if you do find somebody that you can complain to on a regular basis, after a while, you start to feel like they don't want to hear it anymore. It's like, I'm giving you advice, I'm telling you what to do, I'm telling you what to say. You know, if it was me, I wouldn't be dealing with this, I wouldn't be dealing with that. You know, I would do this, I would do that. And then they start feeling like you not listening to them. And they kind of get desensitized from the situation. And then you can kind of feel it. You know, you can kind of feel them pulling away. And then that makes you kind of go into a space of, okay, I'm not going to talk to this person. You know, you just, it's like in your mind, you're thinking, people tired of hearing the same thing over and over and over again. And then you not changing anything. You just constantly going through it, but you're not doing nothing about it. You complaining, you complaining, you complaining. That's how they looking at it, right? But it really is a cry for help. Like, you genuinely want somebody to give you the advice you're looking for. You know, it's almost like a lifeline. You know, you're looking for a lifeline to kind of like save you, to save your relationship, you know. Excuse me. So that was the first thing I want to talk about, because I can relate to that. And that's kind of what made me shut down, because I didn't want people judging me. It wasn't that I wasn't listening to people. If what they told me just didn't feel right to me in the moment, I just didn't go with it. At least that's what I told myself, okay? It could have been some survival mode stuff, for me trying to work things out, because we rationalize bad relationships. You know, we make excuses for them, and, you know, we rationalize it. Even when people giving us advice, we still find a way to rationalize it. So that was the first thing. Then the second thing was unhealed trauma. I had put in a post about unhealed trauma in relationships. So I think I said unhealed trauma plus unhealed trauma equals unhealthy relationships. Because when you have two people that are traumatized, and I talk about this in my ebook too, because it's not like we come with a manual for relationships, okay? We have examples of relationships from either our parents, from our grandparents. You know, if a single mother, you know, in my mom's case, my mother wasn't married, and so she was single. And, you know, so I saw relationships from that standpoint. And so we don't come with a manual with it. So we kind of get in the relationships, and we, you know, just kind of try to, you know, figure it out, right? But one of the things that we don't figure out is we not the only one trying to figure it out. That partner that we're with is trying to figure it out too, right? And so if we coming into it with unhealed trauma, and then they coming into it with unhealed trauma, where can you go? like like seriously, where is that going? In my case, my husband was never talked about what it was, but I know it was something, because you don't just act like that if it's not something that's done happened, right? And I knew that I had a lot of unhealed trauma. I had childhood trauma, abandonment issues, acceptance issues, everything under the sun I had going on with me. Like I was definitely unhealed. And so when you have two unhealed people, in a relationship, it's hard to build up to healthy. How can you build up to a healthy relationship when both parties are traumatized? So I use that as an example because it's the same thing with friendships. Whether it's advice you're getting from friends, advice you're getting from family, advice you're getting from coworkers, whatever the case may be. If these people are coming from a space of their unhealed trauma, then they're going to give you advice from an unhealed place. And for some people, because a lot of people just don't even know that they need to be healed, right? Okay, so this is my coaching thing. You hear me talk about being unhealed all the time. But and that's why I bring awareness to it, so that you can pay attention to what's going on around you. Who are you surrounding yourself with? What are the people talking about around you? Who are you talking to if you are talking to people? So when you go have somebody, whoever it may be out of the three groups that I just mentioned, if they in a unhealed state, they coming to you with unhealed advice. So you unhealed, your partner unhealed, and then you're getting advice from an unhealed person. And so when you combine that, then you are constantly attracting toxicity in your space, which is going to leave it in your space, right? You want to find a way to try to minimize toxicity, especially if you already got it in your house. You don't need to be bringing it in from outside too. You don't need to be bringing it in, talking to other people and then letting them fill your head with mess, and you already got your own mess to deal with, and then you letting them fill your head with other stuff on top of that. It just creates more toxicity. And then 9 times out of 10, as women, somebody say something to us. If it does resonate with us, we're going straight to the source. And then we come in with more toxic BS that we done got from somebody else to add on top of all this other toxicity. So you have to just be really, really careful about who you are listening to. Again, I do feel you should have somebody that you should be able to go to. If I didn't learn anything else, I learned that. I honestly didn't feel like I could talk to anybody. But it was more people that would have backed me than I thought after I got out of the situation. So many people, I can't believe you were going through that by yourself, and the fact that you didn't say anything, and you could have talked to me, or excuse me, whatever the case might be. Allergies really bad today. I'm so sorry. You should see the cars down here. They have so much pollen on them that when you turn on the windshield wipers, you could just see the pollen, just big chunks of it just coming up off the window. Like, it's bad. So, and I closed the window, but anyway, so yeah, So that's the other thing that I wanted to talk about. And then, so my advice to you is to try to find somebody in a healed space that's going to support you, that's not going to be judgmental, that's going to not necessarily side with you, but if you just want somebody that's going to listen, if you just want to vent, you know, try to find somebody that you can go to in a healthy way. Or a coach. Hello. Try to find somebody that you can go to in a healthy way. You know, and that's even people, you know, women that are single. When you surround yourself with single friends that are unhealed and you're in an unhealed state, you know, and you're saying, I do not want to be in a relationship. Like, I'm not going through this. I'm tired of dealing with this. And then you got the unhealed friend co-signing. I don't blame you, girl, because I'm not going through it either. And I'm not doing this and I'm not doing that. And then you got a whole circle going of more toxicity. Okay? So you got to find a way to, you know, once you start to heal, you start to clear that space so you can surround yourself more with people with a healthy mindset. It's not going to be easy because, again, a lot of people don't even know that they need healing. A lot of people don't even know that they are traumatized. And they look at it and they start saying, well, this is just the way I am. It's just the way I am. And if people can't accept me the way I am, then it's just what. But 9 times out of 10, it's not just the way you are. You became that way in survival mode to protect yourself, to not have to deal with the hurt and the pain of what's really going on inside of you. And so it becomes a defense mechanism, is what it is. Because nobody strives to be angry all the time. Nobody strives to be on the edge all the time where just one little thing will set them off. Nobody strives to be mean. Nobody strives to just want to cuss folks out. All of that is coming from a place of being unhealed because it's other stuff that's going on inside of you. And so your justification is, this is the way I am. No. I was the same way. I was such a bitch. I mean, like, for real. I mean, I was just, my mouth was was horrible. My girls would tell you. My mouth was horrible. I was always defensive. I was very confrontational. I was an asshole. I was a bitch. Okay? And nobody would not mess with me. Like, I know I look so innocent. I know you can't believe that. Not me, because I look so innocent. And I'm in such a good place right now. But this was the wounded ego me, okay? But nobody can say anything to me. I took offense to everything. I was always ready to argue. I was always ready to fight, okay? But these are defense mechanisms I put up because I was so traumatized and I didn't know that. And so I used to say the same thing. Well, this is who I am. And so they either accept me how I am or just don't. They don't have to be around me. Instead of me saying, instead of me being a problem, is everybody else the problem, not me. It can't possibly be me, right? So find somebody. Try to find somebody that you can confide in a healthy space. Um, of course, the healthiest space is to get you a coach. That's the healthiest space, okay? Um, with the tools and the modalities and the action steps and the accountability and the healing and, just everything that's needed to get you to the next level and get you out of the place that you're in, believing that you are the person that you have become, because that's not true. It's not true. You're not that person. You are wounded. You are hurt. You are angry. But that's not who you are. It's who you had to become in order to survive. Right? And so at some point, you need to get out of survival mode and get into thriving mode. Survival is good for a time because there are lessons that come out of being in survival mode, but it's not meant to stay there forever. At some point, you have to start to thrive in happiness, in bliss, in joy, not just going through the motions because society tells us what we're supposed to deal with. That's not real. That's an illusion. You don't have to deal with anything unhealthy in your life. You don't. You have options. You have choices. You do not have to deal with anything unhealthy at all. Okay? So when you keep those bottle of emotions in, saying that that's who you become, that's another way that you attract toxic relationships, because you're in a toxic mindset when you say this is who I am. And yeah, it is true. Women, we can go there, okay? And make men think that we really are that crazy. I know it used to be some things that used to come out of my mouth that I would say to my ex-husband, and I would, after we would be done arguing, I would be like, dang girl, where you get that from? Because that tongue right there, okay? But again, it was coming from an unhealed place. It was coming from an unhealed place. So my other option, that the other thing that I wanted to talk about, you very rarely find this, but if you decide, let's just say for instance, let's say you decide tomorrow, I'm tired of being like this. I mean, I got to the point where I couldn't stand myself. I mean, I was just such a nasty person. It's just such a miserable and unhappy and sad person that after a while, I couldn't even stand it. I couldn't even stand myself. Like, I was getting sick of myself. Because it just takes so much energy. And I knew that's not who I was, because I am like one of the sweetest, like I have one of the biggest hearts. My patience is like times 1,000. Like, I am like the sweetest person. So I knew when I was in that space, that wasn't me. but I just felt like I needed to protect myself. So let's just say tomorrow you decide, oh my gosh, I am so sick of being like this. Like, I am just so sick of being this person. Like, who is this person? Who am I? Why am I like this? Like, I'm just over it. I'm just tired of it. You know. And let's just say you decide you want to go on your healing journey. Okay. If you are in a relationship, married, common law husband, significant other, partner, whatever, when you decide you want to go on a healing journey, you can either decide, I'm going to go on this healing journey by myself because I need to do this for me. I need to do this for my children or my child. Because at that point, you are making a decision to not create a cycle that can go on. If you have a girl, you don't want the girls thinking that that's how a relationship is supposed to be. If you have a boy, you don't want the boy thinking this is how a man is supposed to treat a woman. This is how all these cycles start, and this is what we see when we growing up, and then we justify it and make it seem like it's okay because that's what we saw growing up, and that's what it was. They was traumatized too. They was unhealed, and they was traumatized too. That's a part of the generational cycle. There is so much unhealed trauma in our generational lines, in our ancestral lines. And we carry over a lot of that stuff without even knowing that we carrying it over. So when you decide to heal, make that decision for yourself, but think about your children too. Because they are watching everything. I don't care how small you think they are watching. And there is some stuff that's going on and that's going to carry over the longer you go unhealed and continue to deal with that toxicity. So that's your first option. Your second option is ask your partner, do they want to go on the healing journey with you? Do you want to heal? Let's heal together. Because unhealed trauma plus unhealed trauma equal unhealthy relationships. Don't nobody want to hear that though, excuse me. Don't nobody want, you all barely want to hear it, okay? Somebody who hasn't been brought, or the awareness is not being brought to them, and they not, they look like, well, what the heck is unhealed trauma? What does that even mean? What do you mean I'm traumatized, right? You all are much more aware because the community that I've built is about awareness. Yes, I talk about the healing. I talk about being unhealed. I talk about standing in your power, freeing your voice, freeing your mind, freeing your heart. But ultimately, the community is about awareness and bringing awareness to toxicity because it has stayed hidden too long. It is time to break these ancestral cycles. And when you heal, that's exactly what you're doing because it will not continue to carry over to another generation, and it will heal the generations that's already passed. So the awareness is to let you know the place that you're in, to help get you in the mindset to understand what toxicity is about, because society makes us think that there's no such thing as toxicity. And we believe them. And we just keep on trying to make ourselves deal with it because they say that's what you're supposed to do. But that's a lie. So the other option is ask them. I'm going on a healing journey. I don't need your advice, sunshine. I'm going on a healing journey. I'm ready to be healed. I'm tired of arguing. I'm tired of fighting. I'm tired of being miserable. I'm tired of being sad. I'm tired of letting life live me instead of living life, because that's what survival mode is. I am ready to thrive. I am ready to be happy. I am ready to have real joy in my life, not fake it after we done been into a huge toxic ass argument and then pull it together. Oh my gosh, it was so many days I had to do that, where it would just be the most horrible blow up that was so unnecessary because it just depended upon the day with him. And then we would be going somewhere and I would have to pull it together because of course I didn't want nobody to know, especially if we was going around his family or even my family. And then I would have to just pull it together and just pretend like everything was okay, just going through the motions, because society said that's what we're supposed to do. Women's supposed to just hold it together. So, again, that's another option. But if that option is not open to your partner, don't let it stop you from your healing journey. Because I've said this before in other videos. Once you begin your healing journey, things will start to change around you. It may change in your favor and what you want. It may not. I saw a meme that said, it said something about God. Oh, I removed him from your life because I don't even remember now. I'm gonna have to post it, okay? Because it was profound, but I can't remember. I'm having a senior moment. I just saw it yesterday, but it was so profound because basically it was saying that God removed that person from your life because that person wasn't the answer to your prayer. You thought that person was the answer to your prayer, but that person wasn't. And again, don't nobody know how anything is going to turn out. But the bottom line is, anything that has to do with toxicity, the toxic relationship, the toxic past failed relationships, the suffering in silence, the toxic friendships, toxic family, toxic co-workers, on top of your toxicity, okay, with your trauma that you got going on, it's too much. It's too much. Just let all that go. Heal it. Heal it. Ain't nothing wrong with healing. So that's my topic today on toxic advice. I hope you were able to take a lot out of this because it does make a difference on who you bring it into your energy field, who you let contribute to an already toxic situation, and who you are allowing to be in your space as you're taking a break because you're so tired of toxic failed relationships. It's okay to take a break, but nobody don't want to be alone. You are not alone by choice. You alone because you want it. And you're trying to decide if you really want to take that chance and put yourself out there again. I know. I just kept putting myself out there, but excuse me, after I left my husband, I dated somebody for a minute, but I knew it was a rebound relationship, and I knew I still had a lot going on in me, and I took a year and a half to myself, and that was probably the best thing I could have did because it just led to so many doors of my healing after that and during that time. And when I was done in that year and a half, I came out of it meeting somebody, not even, wasn't even looking, wasn't thinking about a relationship, wasn't thinking about, it wasn't even on my radar to be in a long-term relationship. But in that year and a half I spent doing the work, doing the inner work, reclaiming love, reclaiming my heart. That's what was waiting for me on the other side. A healthy, loving relationship. And 13 years later, was not expecting it. So that is my little spiel today on toxic advice. Again, I will put my email address below, just in case you want to reach out and just ask me a question, just kind of talk to me. Or you can DM me, or I will put my link to book a consultation in the comment section. Talk to somebody healthy. You don't have to do it alone. You don't have to do it alone. Okay? So, my best part, okay? I am sending you so much love. I'm sending you healing energies. And I am praying for you. Okay? I will tune back in. I'm trying to be more consistent and do these every Thursday because I'm hoping, that I can find, if I can do it the same time every week, you guys can join in because I know once the live is over, it's so hard for a lot of people to come back to it. I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna watch it. And then most people don't go back and watch it. So I'm trying to make it more consistent, where I do it the same date every week around the same time frame between 12 and 1 o'clock. Because I figure people, that's working, they could tune in for a few minutes during their lunch or, whatever. Um, so I will be making the next live next Thursday. This weekend I am chilling because you all see I had a naturistic good weekend this past weekend. All the fresh air and I had so much fun. I saw that a lot of you guys, kind of checked out the post. And I had a ball. It was just so good. It was something that was so different. Like my soul needed that, to be surrounded with like-minded, spirits, and doing the ancestor thing. I had the tambourine. Okay, I'm the one who was doing the tambourine. Everybody else was doing the drums. They was doing the flutes, but I was doing the tambourine. And it was a beautiful night. Like, it was so many stars out, and you could just see everything up in the sky. Oh, anyway, I needed that. Sometimes you just need that time. So anyway, you guys take care. I am done. And I will see you all next week. Have a wonderful weekend. And don't forget to comment on the post, that whole thing. And I will see you guys next week. I hope you enjoyed this video. Okay, bye everybody. I can't, okay, there we go. End it.